Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Pijana Balabha Girivardhari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Pijana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Hari Bhajakacharya Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaur Premanandi For those of you that recently arrived, welcome. Here's our... Could the lights go down? Yeah, lights down. You can see the screen, but you can see better without the lights. Yeah, good. That's good. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Some of you have participated in one of the discussions on this topic, starting here in July, of last year, 2018, Festival of the Holy Name. And then in China, same topic, and then here and there and elsewhere, same topic. No problem to repeat it again and again. And therefore, we're going to repeat it, and probably again and again. And one of the reasons that I chose this topic is it really resonates, like special. And you'll see at the very end the part of the explanation why we're doing this. A life of service to the Holy Name. We all know the Yuga Dharma, means of achieving spiritual perfection, way up there, perfection. Not just piety, not just good karma, go to heaven, beyond go to heaven, there's perfection. Smashing the cycle of birth and death, smashing karma, smashing the modes of nature, smashing everything that binds us, our false ego, dissolving it. What would life be like without a false ego? Well, try this and you'll find out. At least the potency is there to find out. Because according to Srimad Bhagavatam, according to Lord Kapila, bhakti alone has the power to dissolve false ego in the subtle body. Freedom. Not just heaven. Freedom, permanent, perpetual freedom. Eternal life with Krishna. The means is this. Very important. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama eva kevalam kalo nastyeva nastyeva nastyeva. Gatir. Gati means goal. That's the goal. Gatir anyata. There isn't another option. So it's really important that we select this option out of the possibilities of things that we can do with our life. A goal of life. Take shelter of the Holy Name in service. A whole life of service to the Holy Name. Subal, do you remember when at Radha Govinda Mandir, right after Mangalarti, we would recite this verse? Yes? Every day. So let us recite together, or responsibly. Bahu janma kadiyadi shravana kirtana. Let's try again. Focus. Bahu janma kadiyadi shravana kirtana. Tabutana paya Krishna pade prema dhana. Tabutana paya Krishna pade prema dhana. Here's the translation, which we would recite every morning. And right after Mangalarti Tulsi Puja. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead that is the ultimate goal of this chanting. That's the prema dhana. That's the ultimate goal of this chanting. Love of Godhead. Prema dhana means gift, charity. The name gives the gift, the charity. The name gives the gift. the charity. Krishna gives the gift. And what's Krishna looking for? He's ready to give. The translation that Prabhupada has given is the 10 offenses. Overcome the 10 offenses. Look carefully at the verse. Where do you see the 10 offenses? It's not there. In the word for word, it's not there. This is Prabhupada's translation. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and it's not, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not in the verse. It's Sravana Kirtana. So what's going on here? Well, if you're a Mayavadi scholar, you'll say, boo. Swamiji, you're inventing things. Some of you have heard this nice little story that I wasn't there, but I heard that one Mayavadi sannyasi wanted to see Prabhupada in Chennai when he was visiting, before there was a real temple. It was just a rented space. And he spent an hour plus criticizing Prabhupada's translation of Bhagavad Gita. He had studied it meticulously, and he knew chapter and verse, where in the verse it says this, and in Prabhupada's translation, in purport, it says that. Swamiji, oh, is there any other example? And he kept saying Krishna's name again and again and again and again and again. It doesn't say Krishna anywhere, and you're putting Krishna in the translation in purport, the Hare Krishna mantra. Any other example? For an hour plus. This man had really studied Prabhupada's book in a offensive spirit. Anything else? And at the end, Prabhupada didn't defend himself or say anything. He just let the man go on. And at the end said, oh, I have some other appointment, so please give this man, this sadhu, some prasadam. And off he went. And the devotees, after he left, asked Prabhupada, Mayavadi sannyasis, you don't usually do this. You're fire. Could you explain? And Prabhupada said, did you hear how many times he said Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? He chanted Krishna's name so many times, maybe next time when he comes he'll inquire rather than challenge. He had faith in the name would purify even a vilifier of a pure devotee. Not exactly a vilifier, but a scholarly criticism, a scholarly critique. Because what was Prabhupada doing when he gave Krishna or Hare Krishna mantra or like this? He's giving the essence. He knows the goal, and he knows that his audience doesn't know the goal. So he's helping the audience understand the goal and how to reach the goal. Now, I'm going to read part of one paragraph from the purport, not the whole purport. So listen carefully. We'll stop as we go along. Twice. This is second paragraph. The first paragraph is about the 10 offenses. Second paragraph. One must come to the understanding that the holy name of the Lord and the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself are identical. Bhaktisiddhanta explains elsewhere, the material mind can't achieve that. The material mind will perceive according to material conceptions, and it won't go in. You will, negatively, you will not be able to understand this by your binary processor, the mind. Not possible. But one must come to the understanding that the holy name of the Lord and the Supreme Personality Godhead Himself are identical. One cannot reach this conclusion unless one is offenseless in chanting the holy name. By our material calculation, this is Bhaktisiddhanta being paraphrased. By our material calculation, we see a difference between the name and the substance. But in the spiritual world, the absolute is always absolute, semicolon. The name, form, quality, and pastimes of the absolute are all as good as the absolute himself. As such, one is understood to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he considers himself an eternal servant of the holy name. How do you enter into that understanding of who you really are? Through service to the name. Because who we are, spirit soul, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, Nasochati Nakangsati. That's, I'm Aham Brahmasmi. And to stay in the Aham Brahmasmi consciousness and live your life that way, your connection with Krishna, your eternal servant of Krishna. The doorway is the servant, eternal servant of the holy name, a life of service to the holy name. And in the spirit distributes the holy name to the world. Again, one who chants in that spirit without offenses is certainly elevated to the platform of understanding that the holy name and the personality of Godhead are identical. To associate with the holy name and chant the holy name is to associate with the personality of Godhead directly. A life of an eternal existence of service to the name. Continuing. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is clearly said, Sevan mukhi hi jiva dao swayameva svarat yada. The second half of this verse. Rupa Goswami. The holy name begins, the holy name becomes manifest when one engages in the service of the holy name. It's not a mechanical process, it's a devotional process. The holy name manifests when one engages in the service of the name. So there's a behavior, and then there's a consciousness behind the behavior. Very important. Consciousness behind the behavior, and the consciousness of who we really are is we're a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what Scripture teaches, and how to realize that. Service to the name. This service is in a submissive attitude. I submit myself to the holy name. I'm your servant. Begins with one's tongue. Sevanmukhi hi jivadao. Colon. One must engage his tongue in the service of the holy name. Our Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. We try to engage all the members of the Krishna consciousness movement in the service of the holy name. So that's really nice. And now this is Adi Leela chapter 8, and here's a later rendering comes in Madhya Lila, where this verse is translated. Therefore, material senses cannot experience Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and, underlined, renders service by using the tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified, and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. Now, there's a connection between the topic yesterday evening, and some of you were not with us yesterday evening, so a little quick review. Yesterday evening, the topic that I chose to speak about was the golden rule for Vaishnavas. Golden rule is a universal term, very common in the West, very common in the Christian realm. In fact, they think they own it, but they don't own it. The words may be, their words, Christian terminology, but it's universal terminology. And what does it mean? It's compassion. You have feelings. You would like to have others treat you in a certain way. And the golden rule says, treat others the way that you would like them to treat you. That's, a feeling. It's an emotion of compassion. And compassion that's not transcendental is good. Good karma. And people that do good karma get good results from good karma, and they go to the good place, heaven. So be good, because you get good karma and you go to the good place. You'll prosper in this life and go to the good place, heaven. But that's not the message of Bhagavad Gita. No, we don't take a stick and hit people with that message. It's not, don't be good, or don't just stop at being good. We don't do that. We encourage. And then, towards what end? That Krishna is to be pleased. And the way to enter into that spirit is the service to the name. I mean, you may have to take 15, 20, 30 different steps to get there, but that's our devotional message. Somehow, depending upon the individual that you're interacting with, that's starts inside. It's easy to say those words, but if it's not inside, you're not living your life that way, it doesn't have the same power. Why was Prabhupada able to do what Prabhupada did? He was living his life from the inside. He had, just like this example of the sadhu, Mayavadi sadhu in Chennai, he had such faith in the holy name, etc., etc., etc. He had just full faith in the holy name. His life was full shelter there. Of course, shelter of the holy name means so many other things. Full shelter of a spiritual master, full shelter of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, full shelter of the disciplic succession. But Namadi, beginning with the name. We hear, this is Prabhupada's translation in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear of this Atakshi Krishna Namadi. The explanation that's right in the translation, name, form, qualities, and pastimes. No surprise Haridas Thakur teaches the same, because it's Lord Chaitanya's teachings. He teaches the same. And that is, the focus goes to the name. If or when the focus goes to the name in the mood of service, something happens. The form within the name, not over there's the form and you start to visualize the form. The form and the name are non-different. And then the qualities of the personality of Godhead in its pastimes, and one can enter into his pastimes literally through the name. That's far out. We're not there. But in service to the name, which is how to take shelter of the name, that's where the train is going. When you get on that train, that's the destination. My mind is going to the train stations in China. There's a zillion people in China. I spent so many years in New York, and one of the places that's like crazy busy is, Grand Central Station. Grand Central Station is a sandbox compared to the train stations in China. So many people going zoom, 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 zoom all day long. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And I don't speak Chinese. Like, I don't know where to go. So I'm completely dependent upon the people that know where to go. And if you don't know where you're going, you can get on the wrong train and go to some place you don't even know where you're going. So it's really important to know where you're going when you get on a train. So where is this train going? The service to the name. That's where it's going. But you have to know where you're going, and it's impetus to get on the train. Besides, the negative thing of I don't like to suffer, I like to be peaceful, which many people do, connecting to yesterday evening, many people do meditation because they find it's peaceful. That was what Bhakta Joe was telling me in this Southwest Airlines flight yesterday. Positive and negative is I feel less stress. Positive, I feel, and I don't know how to express it, how about this place of higher consciousness? Yeah, but I can't stay there. How do I stay there? Service to the name. And it's not just, it's a cultivation. It's a consciousness behind the activity. You with me? Service is the consciousness. That's our constitutional nature. Servants of Krishna. How do you awaken that consciousness? It's through the name, and then the mood of service to the name. Let's go back to the text that says, Krishna Pade. Pade is the vocative of pada. Pada means feet. Krishna's feet. Krishna has feet. The Bhagavatam has feet. And the name has feet. No. Like, how do you let that go in? Well, because we have faith in Scripture and the acharyas that present Scripture to us, we just accept it. When you come in late, go in the back and then come around. That's much better. Both of you brothers, okay? Future. Because that's distraction for everybody. Krishna Pade. The name has feet. Krishna has feet. His form has feet. The Bhagavatam has feet. His name has feet. Here we go. Another one. Could somebody let this gentleman know he should go that way? So here's Rupa Goswami. Pay attention, please. Rupa Goswami, we're Rupanugas, we're followers of Rupa Goswami. Rupanuga, or Anuga, we're followers of Rupa Goswami. I'm going to be discussing this midday, so 1 connects with 2, connects with 3, connects with 4. That's by design. In Stavamala, that's a series of writings of Rupa Goswami. One section is Namastaka. Astaka means 8, and 8 prayers to the holy name. Here's prayer number 1. Whoops. Oh, Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the string of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewel of all the Vedas. So let's go to the Vedas. The Vedas means knowledge, and the crown jewel of the Vedas is the Upanishads. And the Upanishads have radiance, and the radiance is worshiping the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. What a beautiful image. It's poetry, it's a metaphor, but how are we going to understand things that we don't know? That's what metaphors are for. One of the qualities of a devotee is kavi. Kavi means learned or poetic. So our acharyas say, in order to describe that which you don't know, you require poetry. Because poetry includes alankar, or ornaments of literature that something that's unknown is pointed to by something that's known. That's what a metaphor is. Like this, so that. So here's something we know. Over there is a tree. You see the tree? In the branches of the tree, there's the moon. Now, the moon is not in the branches of the tree. It's far, far away from the tree. But something that we know, see, there's the tree. There's the moon. Because you don't know where, oh, there's the moon. It's in the branches of the tree. It's a metaphor. It's not literal. And one of the rules of metaphors, the more points that overlap, the better. Because it's not a one-to-one correlation. It's a metaphor. So this is a metaphor. The Vedas have crest jewels, that's the Upanishads, and there's radiance from the crest jewels of the Upanishads, and that radiance is worshipping the tips of the toes of the name, Harinam. So if you want to know what's in the Upanishads, chant the holy name. Because the Upanishads are worshipping, the radiance of the Upanishads are worshipping not just the feet, but the tips of the toes of the feet of the holy name. So beautiful. Rupa Goswami. You, speaking as a person, so the name has feet, you are eternally adored by liberated souls such as Narada and Shukadev. Similar to the Atmarama verse, very famous. It was in the discussion with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without details. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard Lord Chaitanya say that the name is transcendental and the form of Krishna is transcendental. Now he's a Mayavadi, or was a Mayavadi, and then Lord Chaitanya referred to the Atma Rama verse, saying, same thing, same point. Even perfected persons in this Brahman realization, like you're after, Shukadev, he's interested in Srimad Bhagavatam and the name. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, can you give an explanation of that Atma Rama verse? Lord Chaitanya said, you're a great scholar. I'd like to hear from you, your explanation of the Atma Rama verse. And then if you like, I can augment or supplement your wonderful explanation. Sure. I'm super scholar. I can explain it in 16 different ways. And he did. And then after hearing Lord Chaitanya's explanation, a little light went on. You're not just a sannyasi. You're the personality of Godhead. Hearing from Lord Chaitanya the Atma Rama verse, which, like this short explanation, liberated souls like Shukadeva and Narada, they adore. They adore. They're not like, oh, that's nice. They adore the holy name, because the holy name is fully transcendental. They don't adore anything material. They adore the holy name. It's fully transcendental. It's a nice way to say it. Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto. Eternally pure, eternally liberated. Name. Oh, Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. Now, taking shelter of the name means service. I'm going to speak about this midday. What does it mean to take shelter of Guru and Krishna? Or worship the lotus feet, or adore the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. What does it mean? You know, people ask sometimes, what does it really mean? Like, don't give me any one of these, it doesn't really mean kind of answers. What does it really mean? So we're going to speak about that. This is not those of you that attended these japa retreats or Festival of Holy Name or Holy Name workshops, you've heard this before, but here we go. There's, this is an image showing an iceberg. And we as devotees need to go beyond the mechanical form of chanting into the deeper form of chanting. So it's a paradigm shift from material to spiritual. Just like Bhakta Joe in the flight yesterday, he wanted to know, what's the difference between material and spiritual sound? How do you tell the difference? Good question. So this is for not Bhakta Joe answer, this is devotee audience. There's persons that want to undergo a paradigm shift, or there's another academic terminology, cultural engineering. Some of you in the corporate world, you probably know that term. A sociological term and a corporate term. When there's a corporate chain to have to change the culture of the corporation. So cultural engineering. So this is from, this image is from that source, but it applies to our lives as Hare Krishna devotees. So the term that they use, these scholars, they call there's artifacts, or the tip of the iceberg is things that are visible, behaviors, symbols, you know, kind of like a trademark. You see the big M, the golden arch. Everyone knows what that is. And it's all over the world. McDonald's. Or whatever. So symbols. And that with the symbols comes. So like ours is, at the bottom of this nice poster, Gajendra Moksha made, is our logo. Hare Krishna logo. At the bottom, you'll see. And it's supposed to go on everything that we do, on our stationery, on our everything, because that's it's trademarked. That's when people see that, we want them to think, you know, like, oh, Hare Krishna people. We need to do better at it, but that's the idea. Symbols. Anything that comes in touch with the senses. So that's the mechanical part of, you know, chant and be happy. Then cultural engineering or paradigm shift. Below the tip is the values, like something that you hold really important. You know, let's say for an organization, it's the mission statement or declared beliefs. You know, like in ISKCON, Prabhupada formed ISKCON, 1966, July, in New York. And there's 7 purposes of ISKCON. That's in this category. You know, stated values. This is what ISKCON is. And I'm a member of ISKCON. These are things I believe. These are things I hold to be true. What we say is important. Now, I can think of at least a couple devotees that are members of ISKCON that don't live by those credos. They've got something else going on. Because they're not there yet. They're not realized yet. So what's below that stage is, in paradigm shifting or culture and engineering, is deeply held beliefs. Not created by circumstance, not subjective, you know, sometimes this and sometimes that. You know, unsteady bhakti. We all know that one. Anishtita bhakti. Sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes I'm very tolerant. Sometimes I'm intolerant. Sometimes and sometimes. You know, the world of duality, that's... So, aside from the circumstances and how we respond to the circumstances, I've been encouraging a lot, and doing it right now also, beyond the circumstances that you pass through in your life. What's your deeply held convictions? What's really important to you? I'm pausing on purpose so you can think about what's really important to you. Because we're often so busy with the temporary, we don't pause out a little bit and look inside and say, what's a deeply held conviction that's unchallenged? It's certain. It doesn't change with circumstance. What is that that's inside me? Not, you know, check the box because I gave the right scripture, verse, and chapter, and I know the answer. But for you personally, with Bhakta Joe, this fellow, I'm referring to this college student that was next to me on the ride from Los Angeles to Chicago. He wanted to know how long you've been doing this. I said, 48 years. He said, that's twice as old as I am. What kept you going? This is what kept me going. A deeply held conviction. Of course there's experience. Otherwise, how can you keep going? But even we have experience. What happens when you unsteady bhakti? You may slacken, or worse, you can check out, leave of absence. Just like, hey, where'd so-and-so Prabhu go? Or Dasi, and I haven't seen them in a while. They checked out. So, what isn't in your life, what's not circumstantial? Deeply held conviction. So, for me, I'm sharing with you this message that I have been speaking about. It resonates. I like service. And service connecting with the holy name, not in the mechanical form, but from the heart. Now, am I fully there yet? No. Is it a non-circumstantial conviction? Yes. It keeps me going. That was my answer to Bhakti Job. I have faith in sound vibration that comes from the spiritual world. How do you get it? It has to come through disciplic succession. Otherwise, you can't get it. You go over there and do mantra meditation, you're not going to get it. That was my experience in college. There was a fellow, I won't go into it too much, a former Harvard professor became a Mayavadi teacher of Hare Krishna mantra. He wasn't able to deliver this. When I contacted Prabhupada, I didn't even know who Prabhupada was. It happened. Just hearing. Very different qualitative experience. So here I am today, 48 years later, still working on it, in a humble mood of service to the holy name from the heart. Now, what is this final? What does this from the heart thing mean? Sometimes devotees, more, some, less, some, but some devotees use this phrase, from the heart. Here's what our acharyas have to say about that, starting with Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And those of you that know Rupa Goswami's writings, this is the key verse that the entire Nectar Devotion rests upon. That's like this deeply held, unchanging conviction of Rupa Goswami. What bhakti is. And then everything else comes from what bhakti is. Let's say it together. Anyavilashata shunyam jnana karma dhyanavratam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. Notice I put in big bold letters, shilanam. That's the verse. And Prabhupada's translation of it includes the highest bhakti, that's bhaktir uttama, is defined as continuous service or emotions directed towards Krishna. Service or emotions. So actually, this is Jiva Goswami's rendering, because Jiva Goswami, student of Rupa Goswami, made commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and here's from his commentary. This word anushilanam, because Krishna, anushilanam. So anushilanam must be understood only through the sense of its verbal root. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, but I've heard it said many times in Prabhupada's teachings. Dhatu means verbal root. You understand a word from its dhatu, verbal root. Kind of sensible. There's a tree, and the tree manifests from the root. So if you understand the root, you can understand the tree. Anyway, that's the linguistic rule, dhatu. So then he goes to the verbal root of anushilana is shil. The significance, the signification of the verbal root shil is twofold. The pravriti, expressing action, that's what you see, worship, practice, serve, and nivriti, expressing the non-action, or to be intensely absorbed. That's the emotion part. Emotions you don't see. You see the behaviors, or the worship, or the practice, but what's that resting upon? What you're contemplating. You don't see the mind. We know we have one, and behaviors come from the mind. Here we are. We're in Kishore Kishori Mandir temple room, and the legs brought us here. But before the legs brought us here, something happened in the mind. And then, fortunately, the legs obeyed, and brought us here. So that's the part you don't see. The non-action, or to be intensely absorbed. Shil means these two things: act, practice, serve, worship, and to meditate. Where's Sri Radhika? Is she here? Yesterday? Not here. With the... Okay. So she asked yesterday, where's mindfulness 201? Right here. It's like an element of mindfulness, because we spoke about it last night, for those of you that were not with us. She teaches yoga, and in the yoga scene, or yoga instruction, mindfulness is essential. Not only important, it's essential. So what does it mean, and how do you bring the mindfulness of yoga practice to Krishna? Here it is. Shil has two distinct meanings. One meaning is non-active, samadhi, contemplation. The other meaning is active. To hear attentively, to perceive, to cultivate. So if you want to hear attentively, back to the 10 offenses. I hope you're listening. The root of the 10 offenses is inattention. If you want inattention to disappear, you have to have proper intention. Otherwise, distraction will continue for your whole life, and the goal will not be reached because you're distractedly chanting. The behavior is there, but the attention isn't there. How do you get the attention? That's the behavior. It's the contemplation behind the behavior. It's that bottom of the iceberg. And it's not just like check the box and get an A in your Bhakti Shastri exam. It's something that has to be your personal, not just mission, but deeply held convictions, that which is unchanging. It takes some careful effort to look inside and find that. And for me, sound vibration. I have deep faith. Not like, it's an unchanging value, it's a given. Science verifies it, my experience verifies it. It's not dependent upon science says it's true. It's true. Science says it's true, but it's the hearing process, and specifically, hearing sounds that come from disciplic succession, unchanged, undistorted, transparent medium. We're going to hear some more about this as we go along. So I'm going to end with the following. Just before coming here, the previous weekend, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, and we had a Holy Name workshop. And one of the participants in the Holy Name workshop, along with me, was Badahari Prabhu. Everyone here knows him. And Shyam Sundar Prabhu. You may not all know him. Some of you are from Houston. You certainly know him. He's the temple president of the Houston Temple. And he has deep faith in the Holy Name. I shared to the audience that didn't know this. I asked for his permission, and he had, I don't know what the right word is, he had a brain crisis, you know, like some attack, something, I don't know what it's called, medical problem. I mean, it was medical, like bleeding in his brain or something like that. I don't know what the right word is. And so he was in the hospital. And when he was in the hospital with this circumstance, his mind was working, but the rest of his body wasn't working. And a little light went on, saying, got the knock on the door. I don't know how long I'm going to live. What's really important to me? And for him, it was the name. So while lying in the hospital, he took very, unlike before, deep shelter of the name. And when he came out of the hospital and fully recovered, that didn't change because it wasn't circumstantial. He has deep faith and deep practices in the name without details. So one of the things that he shared, and I really liked what he did. So I'm just following in his faithful footsteps. He invited the audience, some of whom knew him, some of whom he didn't know, or they didn't know him. Think of something. We're going to take a minute or minute and a half, and I'm going to invite you, what he says, close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. You can close your eyes or not. But we're going to literally take a minute, minute and a half, and just think of something or some things in your life that you feel gratitude for, without suggesting maybe this, maybe that. Personal, not get your A in the exam. Something personal that you feel gratitude for in your life. So we'll pause. Look inwardly. I'm not going to ask you to share, but please do that. Okay. So many of you have heard me say, and I don't mind saying it again 100 times plus, gratitude is the seed of love. And the position of happiness that we're all seeking for, without exception, is to love and be loved. Gratitude is the seed of love. So with that in mind, the previous weekend was shortly after the New Year. So he then did something that's an American thing to do, which is make a New Year's resolution. Now, maybe other cultures of the world do the same thing, but here we are in America. So I thought that was really nice. And he framed it this way. When I come back again 1 year from now, I'd like you to contemplate a resolution. It can be, something very simple, but something that you do for a whole year, every day, for a whole year. Something doable, and do it every day. Now, I don't know how many people in that room are going to do it every day, because one of the territories that we have in our life is unsteady bhakti, and one of the symptoms of unsteadiness is things that are beneficial, we resolve to do them and then we don't stick to them. That's called anishtata bhakti. There's a nice Sanskrit name for it. But this Vyasa Puja event is likely to be an annual event, and around the turn of the early part of the year, and 1 year from now, a number of us will still be alive, and we'll assemble together again. So we're going to take 2 minutes this time, not just a minute and a half, and think of something that, or two somethings, keep it short and doable, that between now, every day, that you'll do to take you the next step, or something will be beneficial, doable, something beneficial to help you in the bhakti path, getting closer to the goal, which is far from us, but that's okay. Let us take little incremental steps towards that. I won't suggest anything, something that's yours, that you own it, and the request is every day for a whole year. That's pretty neat, pretty unique. I mean, some things we do every day, but add something every day for a whole year. So we'll pause, look inside. If you like, you can close your eyes. And what's one or two things you can do every day? Can you turn on the lights again? I'll share with you one of my two. Specifically, minimum 16 rounds every day, minimum 4 of those rounds, nothing else but meditate on being in the mood of service to the name that I'm chanting at this moment. Now, it can be more than 4 rounds, but just very focused for a minimum of 4 rounds every day for the coming year. My experience was in preparing prior to the July Festival of the Holy Name, I did that for a month. And it was powerful. Part of the realization, part of the experience subjectively was, it wasn't just the name, that consciousness expanded into everything that I did. Everything. I mean, taking a bath and taking prasadam and, Haribol Prabhu and, everything. It was service to the name. I didn't have to try for that separately. It just became part of my contemplation, like this teaching of Rupa Goswami. The cultivation of bhakti at a deeper level. So I want to, because I did that, and I've been teaching, I've been sharing the same message like 6 or 7 times already since then. The repetition, it's gone in even more deeply than it did in July. So it's really, I feel really good about it. And I believe I can do it every day. But, so if I forget, I don't think I'll forget. But if I forget, somebody remind me next year, and I'll just ask for a show of hands, nothing more than that. How many of you followed every day for the whole year your New Year resolution? And one of the things that can help you do it is share it with somebody else and have them check on you. Hey, how you doing? It's one of the rules of education. And, one of the rare things that in our devotee association, sanghas, is accountability. Accountability is good. So somebody that you can confide in, they'll hold you accountable, and they can ask you how you're doing, or you can just tell them, here's how I'm doing. I skipped a few days, or whatever the message is. I've been really, right on it. I'm energized by this. I'm getting these realizations, so that you can maintain it for a whole year. So it's not just cosmetic. It's something that can help you get closer to the goal of bhakti. Krishna Premadana. Krishna Pade Premadana. So any discussion in our assembly here? Okay.
Hare Krishna. You explained that goal is Krishna Pade Premadhana, and we are not, especially I am not over there, and the way to reach over there is a service to the holy name.
Yes.
And the service start by serving spiritual master. So is it okay or to think the mantra given by spiritual master as absolute as the holy name of Krishna?
Why not? Do you have a doubt? Okay. Now, the instruction we're going to hear midday on the question you're asking. one leads to the other. Everything rests upon the name. The instructions of the spiritual master rest upon the name. It connects you to the name. So it's of the same absolute nature because it connects you to the name. And because the representative of Krishna is to be taken as non-different from Krishna, although different, because being the representative of. So of the same absolute dimension. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is regarding to the gratitude portion you mentioned today.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, the one instruction or statement you made a year ago during a class in Boston, this was during the arrival of Srila Prabhupada, I believe so. You said your own life, the two things which really helped you is gratitude and Srimad Bhagavatam. So the question here is, the principle of gratitude has been spoken a few times in earlier class. How do we absorb in gratitude rather than just being...
How do we do what?
Absorb.
Absorb ourselves in gratitude? You cultivate it. You'd like to know how to cultivate gratitude? I can share that. Is that what your question is? There are some persons in this room who have heard me say this before. Now you can all hear me say it. Maybe I've said it before also publicly. 4 steps. Gratitude journal. Every day, ideally, before sometime during the day, and an ideal time is at night before you rest, but any time, best if it's fixed, sometime during the day, you step back. You go enter this mode of goodness space instead of, like, I got so many things to do and the mind's distracted. You go into a mode of goodness space and you reflect, what is it in my life that I have received that's meaningful to me? And you write it down. You know, to write things down, it has to be clear. It's not just a thought, because when you write, you do a little editing as you write, so it's clear. And then in that gratitude journal exercise, then you reflect again. What do I feel about that thing that I've received that has been of benefit to me? It's a feeling. One is a cognitive, and the other is an affective gratitude journal exercise. 2, something that you do every day. You don't have to like add another something to your daily life. You do that something in the consciousness that this is an offering of my gratitude to that source that I received this thing from. You know, when you're cooking, let me make this offering as an expression of gratitude for the person that I've received this beneficial thing from. Or whatever. When you're driving your car, when you're walking from point A to B, something that you do every day, you just connect that mindfulness of that feeling of gratitude to the source of that which you received that thing from. Number 3, think of something that you can do that will be an expression, an appropriate expression of that gratitude to that person. Now, it could be even somebody that's now deceased, but something that's an appropriate expression verbal, written, something, you say to that person, or even say about that person to another person, I feel very grateful to that person that gave this wonderful thing, this gift. Number 4, this is Prabhupada about Mahatma Gandhi. Number 4 is that person who you feel some gratitude for, do something that will assist them in their mission. What did their life represent? And do something that helps establish that in this world. That's the Gita Nagari prophecy from Prabhupada about Gandhi. And then just do that for some time. I know a devotee that's heard this 4 years ago, and to this day, they're continuing it. Every day. I don't have to wind them up. It went in. And this devotee is feeling something. I mean, gratitude, that's the seed of love. And their life is blossoming, their devotional life, and their family life, and their social interactions with the devotee community, because that love for Krishna is awakening, because he's the source of everything. Whatever we're feeling grateful to for having received something, he's the source. That consciousness is awakening instead of just like check the box in a Bhakti Shastra exam. They're feeling that. Anyone else? Yes, up front.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Question about doing everything as a service to the holy name, all other things that we do as service to the holy name. So is it because the mood of service comes from holy name, that's how everything else becomes service to the holy name? No,
the mood of service is within the soul. It's already there. The name helps awaken it. You connect that which is already there with the object of service, or the object of love, the object of shelter, in the mood of service. Excuse me, I interrupted you.
Maharaj, still I'm not able to, like I remember hearing it in Festival of Holy Name, and have been thinking about it, that how all other things that I do, how is it a service to the holy name? Because the name and Krishna are non-different. It's right in the purport. Read the purport again, like as many times as you like. It's the sound vibration is there. Because the name and the person who all the services you're doing are the same. The name and the person who you're serving are the same. So we know that that's our philosophy, but we're not living it. So how to live it? It's when it's awake inside. How do you get it to waken up inside? The name, in service to the name. And then you don't have, there's no mental adjustment needed to see all of those services are service to the name, because service to Krishna is awakened through the name. That's what our mantra means. Prabhupada gave it really simply. Oh, internal potency of Krishna, Radha, please engage me in the service of Krishna. That's the meaning. And the meaning we can feel through the mood of service to the name, and then everything becomes that. Consciousness of service to Krishna through the service to the name. So it's not like when you're cooking, you have to be thinking, this is service to the name.
That's a mental adjustment. It's when you're chanting the name. So when you're cooking and you can be chanting the name. And the cooking is a service to the name. But if you do, whenever you're chanting, whenever you're associating with Krishna in the form of his name, the mood is a mood of service to the name. And if you actually enter into that mood, everything that you do, say it negatively, is there anything that you do, even sleep? If we're in the mood of service to the name, it's service to the name, and not otherwise. Everything is there. The Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. Yeah?
Thank you.
We have time for one more, if we have one more question or comment. You have another one? Okay.
It's about the deep conviction.
Deep conviction.
Deep conviction and inconsistency. Like, not based on the circumstance, my conviction changed.
Okay, yeah.
So there are times when there are certain situations and circumstances that takes time. That takes time, and then I don't have time to do certain things that I do in my devotional services. So is it that because of lack of deep conviction, or
is it because of?
Is it because of lack of that deep conviction?
No. No, it's time management. Not because of lack of conviction. You can always strengthen your conviction. You should, always. And then, we're not perfected beings. We don't manage our time so well. And then sometimes they're just like this tsunami of circumstance. I'm behind in communication to certain devotees, without details. I know it. Circumstances have been such that I'm behind. I certainly plan to fulfill those expectations of persons, and even they may not be expressing their expectation. I wish to, but it has to be at the right time. I have a plan, and hopefully circumstances will permit me to do that. There are persons, just very specifically, there are persons who, because of their life circumstances, they're not here today. My thoughts are with them, and I'm going to let them know. And my plan is, even today, I'm going to send them a little note saying, my thoughts are with you. That's my intention. Let's see if it happens. Because it won't take too long, but, it's time management. It's not, do I feel those relationships are important? And connecting those souls with Krishna is something that's really important to me. No, I intend yesterday and today to write to Bhakta Joe in Tuscaloosa after some time and see how's Bhakta Joe, how's it going? How's your meditation going, Joe? Did you learn more about meditation on sound? How's it going? What's your experience? I'm not going to forget it. It may take a while because of circumstance. Okay. We're going to end. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, devotees. Now is breakfast prasadam downstairs, plus kirtan that's going to go on. I noticed some of you are leaving your belongings, especially wallets or purses, here, assuming because it is Kishore is home, is very safe. I want you to know there is a potential that it might become an involuntary donation to someone who's not serving Krishna. So please take your wallets and purses with you. If there is a winter coat that you don't want anymore, you can leave it here and it will be taken care of by someone. But otherwise, please keep your belongings with you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Is this on, Prabhu? Oh, yeah, this is fine.
Hare Krishna Prabhus, if you're not doing service, we're going to be setting up the stage here, so you may be in the middle of things. So breakfast is going to be served downstairs. If you're doing service, please remain here. If you don't, we're going to very sweetly ask you to go out. Thank you.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,